The Villainess by Byung-Gil Jung. And this is an extraordinary piece of work. In the opening scene, we see from the point of view of another assassin, a non-American assassin, sort of making their way through a building that is absolutely full of baddies, dispensing with opponents in a manner which makes the corridor scene from Old Boy look like a scene from a Harold Pinter film. And then what happens is the reveal is, oh, this is the Villainess. And it's the story of Kim Up-bin's femme fatale Suk Hee, who is forcefully recruited at a very young age to become a trained assassin. So obviously, from a sort of cinematic precedent point of view, you start thinking of Nikita, or La Femme Nikita, as I think it's called in other territories. It was released over here as Nikita, which was then remade. There was an English language version of it that was then remade, starring Bridget Fonda, as far as I remember. And La Femme Nikita is that same thing, but the story about somebody who is basically forced to become a trained killer, but they're also trying to lead a normal life. The arrangement this time is that 10 years has to be done, and then after that she will have her freedom. And there's a scene in it which very directly references Nikita, or La Femme Nikita, in which you end up with her in a wedding dress putting together high-powered weaponry, which very much refers back to that scene from Nikita, the bathroom scene from Nikita, which is actually probably the most memorable scene from the film. It has an operatic narrative which is extraordinarily overwrought, overcranked, hysterical. It's funny, we're talking about this, in the same week as Mother is out. And it's a film in which the sort of the tenor of the film, the tone of the film, in terms of that everything turned up to 11, is similarly overcranked. When it played at Film Festival, I think it was Cannes, the report was the first time it was played, it got a 4-minute standing ovation. And you can understand why, because in terms of its fight scene choreography, it is quite breathtaking. It's got that sort of, inventive, choreographed mayhem, anarchy feel to it that really does take your breath away. Weirdly enough, the plot becomes so labyrinthine and so twisting that you lose track sometimes of exactly where you are in the narrative, and the twists and turns are so beyond preposterous. But during the fight sequences, and I've made this, this reference before, that if you're watching a well choreographed movie like that, it is like watching ballet, it is like watching dance. It is, and this takes us off to Black Swan and Darren Aronofsky. Everything's tying up very nicely, isn't it? This week?
Nicely done.
It's almost as if we planned it, which I genuinely haven't. But there is this sort of sense of kinetic, visceral energy happening. And it was really weird because I saw it almost immediately after American Assassin. And I saw Robbie Collin afterwards, and Robbie Collins said, I'm maybe misquoting, but he said something on the lines of, it just feels completely wrong, those two movies being in, having to watch those two movies back to back, because one of them just like literally wipes the floor with the other one. Not literally, I do understand. Wipes the floor with the other one and goes, no, if you want to do this, is what that actually looks like. It is breathtakingly audacious in its fight choreography. It is hysterical and histrionic and operatic, and it's called The Villainess.